Hello everyone, today we're going to create a simple form and add validation to it using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Form validation helps ensure that users enter the correct data before submitting the form to server. This video will be useful for beginners who want to understand the basic of form validation, as well as for those who want to improve their skills in HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Let's get started. We'll start by creating a basic HTML form. We'll add several input fields, name, email, password and password confirmation, as well as a submit button. Open our HTML file and create new tag form. Also create ID for our form using camel case. We can call this ID registration form. Okay, close our form tag, and now let's create title. Our form will be using h second tag, and we can write in registration form. Okay, and next step, let's create our fields. First, create label. Our first field will be name, and we can write name inside our label. Okay, and also create input for this label. This input will be type text, and ID. Create name will be using this ID inside our JavaScript file, and create name our field. We can call this input name. Okay, and now let's connect this input to our label. We can add attribute for and add name our input. And let's look at the window. Like you see, when I click on our label, our input is getting focusing. Okay, and let's create other fields. We can duplicate this code several times for our email, password and confirm password. Okay, I finished working on our web fields, and also I add one HTML attribute for our inputs. It names required, and now user must to add something inside our input before he'll send our data. Okay, and next step, let's create button. Add text inside our button, and create new type attribute. Our button will be submit. Okay, our HTML structure is ready, and let's look at the window. Here's our form, and like you see, when I click on our button, I get warning because I need to write in something inside our inputs. Okay, now let's add some stars to make our form looks nice and user-friendly. Open our code, and first step, you need to create a CSS file and connect this file inside your head. But you also can create styles tag and add your styles inside that tag. Okay, and first we'll create it basic stuff for our body. Set new font family. I'll be using Arial, and create background. We'll be using light, and also change position elements inside our body. We have only one form, and we need that our form will be in the center. We can combine display flags, justify content center, and align items center. Okay, and also add height, full screen, and delete all margin. Okay, our body is red, and now let's look at the window. Like you see, our styles are work, and next let's create styles for our form. We didn't create any class, and we can use our tag. First, set new background light and create padding 20 pixels and border radius 8 pixel. Okay, also create shadow using property box shadow 0, 0, 10 and create RGB because we need black with combined with opacity. Okay, and create width we can using 400 pixels. Okay, let's look at the window. I think now it looks more attractive, and next let's add space between our title and our fields. We can create margin bottom and 20 pixel. Okay, and next let's create some styles for our label. Add display block and margin bottom 8 pixels. I think it'll be enough, and in the end let's create styles for our input and our button. First let's create styles for our input. Add width 100% and create padding. Okay, and next create space between our inputs. Add margin bottom 10 pixels and create border 1 pixel solid gray. Okay, and create some border radius. I think 4 pixel will be enough. Okay, and let's look at the window. Here's our input, and like you see, something wrong with our input because our input is ignoring our padding. I think it looks terrible and we need to correct this mistake. Open our styles and create one property for all elements. It names box sizing border box. Okay, now everything looks nice, and I think we can change size our form. Let's add 420 pixels. Okay, now it looks more attractive and our inputs are ready. And next let's create styles for our button. First also add full width, create padding. The same 10 pixel will be enough, and create background color blue. We can using blue. Okay, and delete border. We don't need any border. And create radius. We can use property border radius 4 pixels. Okay, also set color our text. We'll be using white and set font size 16 pixels. Okay, also change our cursor. We need pointer and create transition because we'll add hover effect and we need slowly animation. Also add effect easy in and create our hover, and when user will be hover the mouse, will be change background color. Okay, create new background for hover. Okay, we'll be using B3. And let's look at the window. Here's our button and our hover effect is work. Okay, I think now our form looks more attractive, and next step we can talk about validation with HTML. HTML provides built-in attribute for validation. such as required. We use this attribute, but we also can add min length, max length, and pattern. We'll use this attribute to ensure that users enter data in the correct format. And also, like you see, I also used min length for our password because usually our password must have more than 6 characters. Okay. Also, we can using CSS to stylish the input fields based on their validate. Let's create example. We have two pseudo class, and let's stylish for valid and invalid state. We'll be add this property for all input, and first pseudo class names valid, and like your understanding, thanks to this pseudo class we can add style when HTML validation will be correct. Let's create border color for our input green. Okay. But we also have pseudo class invalid, and let's if our input will be invalid, add red. Okay, like you see now, all our input become red, but if I add some charts to our first name input, like Bob, we get green because our validation is true. But we're using this approach very rarely because the most popular way to create validation is creating JavaScript logic. It helps to create more complex validation. We need to create JavaScript file, for example, and let's create simple validation. We'll check if the password match or if the email is in the correct format. Open our JavaScript file, but first you need to create JavaScript file and connect this file using script tag with attribute src and link to your file. Okay, and first let's get our registration form. We'll be using global document object and method get element by ID. Inside this method we add ID form. Like you remember, we add ID in the beginning of our lesson. Okay, and create event listener using method add event listener, and we need to get submit. Okay, and create function. This function will be get event. We need to use our event and method prevent default. This method will switch off default behavior our browser. Okay, and next step, let's get all our inputs. Create new variable. First we'll get our email using again document get element by ID. We can copy this code and pass here, but now we need property value and change ID. Here's our email and copy this ID and pass here. Okay, we get value our email, and next. Okay, and now let's get other inputs. Duplicate this code 3 times because we need to get password and confirm password. Now let's change our ID and name our variable. Okay, and next step, when we get all our inputs, let's create simple email validation. First we need to create email pattern, create new variable, and I'll skip this one. Okay, and I'll add this pattern in the description. Okay, and now we can create condition if our email value not match with our email pattern. We need to create error. You can create some alert or create some paragraph with text your mistake, but I think it will be long, and for this lesson I'll be using alert because it's more quickly approach. Using method alert, and let's write in some code like please enter a valid email address. Okay, and I made mistake. Correct this mistake. Okay, and also we need to finish our function. If this condition will be true, we can use in return, and if our condition will be true, our function will stop. Next, let's create check if password match. Create new condition if our password doesn't equal confirm password. We need to call our alert and add new text. We can print password do not match. Okay, and also using return. Okay, but if everything will be okay, we can print form submitted successfully. Okay, and here you can add your form submit logic. Okay, and now let's check how it works. Let's add some name like Bob and add email bob doc gmail.com, and also create some password like 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, and add the same password for our confirm password, and let's try to submit our form. Like you see, our form submitted successfully, but now let's try to change our confirm password. Let's add something else, like add one more chart. And let's try again. Like you see, now we get mistake, password do not match. And like you see, our validation is work. Okay, today we created a simple form and added validation using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. This video is particularly useful for beginners who want to grasp the basics of form validation, and for those looking to enhance their front-end development skills. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. See you in the next video.